Okay, so the book I chose for my independent reading was If You Tell by Greg Olson by Julie Andrew Abbott. Me. So my kind of hook, or kind of like what I want to catch your eye, is anything could be a weapon. The kids knew it. Dave too. Olson 55. And here's the cover of the book by Greg Olson. It kind of shows like the setting, like mentally and physically, honestly, like with the fog, like honestly, it's very like suspenseful and like you don't know where you're headed kind of thing. And like it's just like captured by secrets, honestly, which I think is very cool. So main characters. So we first have Shelley Notek. Shelley is the mother to Nikki, Sammy, and Tori, and is married to Dave Notek. Dave Notek is Shelley's husband, but this is her third husband. Her first husband was Randy Rivardo, and her second husband was Danny Long. Laura and Les are Shelley's parents. Laura Watson is Shelley's stepmother, and Les Watson is Shelley's biological father. And then we have Nikki, who is the eldest daughter, and we have Sammy, who's the middle daughter, and she's also Shelley's favorite daughter. And then we have Tori, that's the youngest. Tori's about there's a very big age gap with Tori compared to her sisters. There's like a 10-year age gap, honestly. And then we have Shane Watson, who is Shelley's nephew to Paul Watson, who was Shane's father, who was in and out of jail. And Shelley really wanted to take care of him, so they took him in. And then we have Kathy Loreno. She's a friend that moved in with the Noteks. And then we have Ron Woodworth, who is a friend that moved in with them after Kathy left. Okay, so some background. Shelley was a very, troubled kid. Her father kind of just gave her everything that she wanted, money-wise, things, makeup, just anything, going out with friends. Mostly money, though. She was really big on money. And then she had really bad behavioral problems when she was a kid. Shelley, it got to the point where, she accused her father of raping her when she was 15 and tried to, ruin his reputation, get him fired from his job. The school, called CPS on them and tried to get, Shelley taken away. And she wrote it in, a magazine trying to, gain attention. She was a very attention seeker and just wanted all the attention on her all of the time. She really just wanted to test the waters and see how far she could get with the story before, something really bad would happen with her dad. And then she, told them that it wasn't true and that she was just trying to, have attention, which it didn't end well at all for her. Laura and Shelley had a really tense relationship growing up. Laura really tried to, teach her, hey, that's not okay. You can't be doing stuff like that. You could have seriously harmed everybody in this scenario, which I applaud her for that, trying to teach her how to, be respectful and just, not misbehave as much. It really did not get through to Shelley at all, and she continued to do it. So that's why when they heard that, Randy and her were talking and, were boyfriend and girlfriend, that was their opportunity to kind of, get rid of Shelley and, have the burden on somebody else. So they made Shelley call Randy and be like, hey, we'll offer you a job at, her dad's job and just, earn some money. And that was kind of, a ploy to get Randy to marry her. Immediately when he got there, they were already, planning, wedding stuff. They got married in a Methodist church. They were on top of it to get her married off so they wouldn't have to deal with her. But her demands got too much for Randy. She would be oh, I need your money. I can't live in a trailer house. This, that, and the other. It was mostly money related, but their fights got so aggressive and just started to get abusive that he just had to get out. So Randy divorced her due to her consistent demands. And then she soon married Danny, who was her next door neighbor. Danny really liked Nikki and really just, like, married her for that. And Danny, he was nice. Like, he never got physical with Shelly at all. Shelly was the only one to get physical. That was her main route with fighting. She would be mentally and physically abusing these men that she married and just treating them horribly. Shelly was just an awful person. And, like, more I read the book, you could see how, like, pure evil she was. But they divorced because Shelly asked her father, Les, for money for a divorce because she was just bored. And then she married Dave. Okay, so Nikki, Sammy, and Shane's childhood. So I said that, like, Shelly wanted to take it in Shane because his father had been in and out of jail. And, like, Shelly was very abusive towards Shane and Nikki specifically. They were the main targets of her torment. Sammy was the favorite. That's only because she figured out that if she went along with her mother and agreed with her and did what she was told and just stayed quiet, she wouldn't get abused as much. And, like, that's kind of, like, she also had more friends than Nikki did and Shane, so she had people to tell. And Shelly knew that. Shelly knew that, like, if she manipulated Sammy into, like, staying quiet, that would be better than trying to abuse her out of it. And so Shelly Notek was just abusive and calculative and just pure evil. Her main torments went to Shane and Nikki, obviously. They really created a bond over that. Like, they created this game when they would hang out, like, after dark, after all their chores and done all their torment, like, how they would kill her. Like, they hated this woman. They still thought of her, like, that's the only mother I've ever had, but it gets to a point where what is a mother then? Like, if not loving, like, evil. Her main torments would be, like, she would take her furniture away, bathroom privileges. Her favorite punishment would be taking away their clothes. She had this weird thing with nudity. Like, she would make you, like, strip and get beaten naked, like, do your chores naked, like, you couldn't sleep with clothes, like, it was just really weird. I will say, it was probably the weirdest thing that I've read about that book was the nudity part, because I will say it can be kind of graphic with, like, the torments and stuff, which is fine. Like, it's true crime. It's just, like, scary because it's a true book and, like, it's a true story what happened to these kids. And, like, Nikki would be, like, isolated and locked in her room for, like, weeks at a time. She found solitude in that. Like, her mom would just, like, throw food at her, like, maybe once a day. Like, they weren't getting food. They were definitely probably malnourished. And they really didn't think about going to the cops or anything because they just, like, didn't know what to say or, like, if someone would even believe them because it was both their dad and their mom. Their mom manipulated Dave into, like, punishing them and being like, oh, you need to beat Shane, you need to beat Nikki, you need to beat Sammy, like, you need to do this. And, like, she was just very manipulated, thinking, like, she would be like, oh, I do this because I love you, you know, like, you just have to take responsibility because you didn't do this for me. She's very narcissistic, and that's, like, the main thing about narcissists is that it's all centered around them. And yeah, Nikki and Shane found solitude and, like, had a really strong bond with each other, and just, like, they continue to be like, oh, if I'm gonna leave, I'm taking you with me. Like, it's us against the world kind of relationship. They thought of each other as brother and sister. Like, it was just really hard for them. Shane repeatedly tried to run before he disappeared for good, quote-unquote, to Alaska, as Shelly told Nikki. Okay, so going on to Kathy Loreno and Ron Woodworth. So we're starting with Kathy. Kathy was a close friend of Shelly who was very much a pleaser. Like, she did everything, like, Shelly wanted. Like, she was trying to make a good impression. She went through, like, her parents disowned her, like, or that's what she thought. Kathy just wanted to make sure, like, Shelly was, like, taken care of and all of this and all of that, and just, like, they took her in because, like, she was having some financial problems. Kathy was a hairdresser, and when she first entered the house, everything was fine. She really just thought the kids were, like, bad kids, and that's why they were getting punished, so, like, Shelly would make Kathy punish them, too. But it did a 360 right away for, like, the first couple weeks, I think. And Shelly started to abuse Kathy instead of Nikki and, like, Shane. And she would, like, get, like, physically abused, psychologically, like, tortured, and then water torture was one of Shelly's favorite torments. And Nikki and Shane, they didn't like what was going on, but at the same time, like, the torment wasn't directed on them this time, and they were getting less and less punishments, so they were finally able to, like, breathe. But it got to the point where it was so extensive, like, she wasn't getting fed, like, she was getting abused, she was so weak that she could barely stand up and do her chores, yet she, like, anytime she would run, like, Shelly would, like, go into this, like, beast mode and, like, try to, like, find her and, like, hunt her down. The kids always said, like, she had, like, a special, like, talent for trying to hunt people down and, like, getting them back. And she died from the torture. I spelled that wrong, don't mind that, I'm gonna fix it. And from what she endured from Dave and Shelly. And Dave covered it up because they couldn't use a suicide because there was no body, because they burned it with all her stuff. They burned any trace of her there, and they burned her bones. And they made up the story that she ran away with her boyfriend in case her family came looking for her, because they were trying to find her because they thought she's been missing for a year now, when she was just with the No-Techs. And now we have Ron Woodworth. This is after Kathy had been dead for a couple months, I believe. And now, like, all the punishments just going on to Nikki. Like, she's getting all the abuse. Sammy's just trying to do her best. Like, Nikki's about to, like, be 18, too, so she's ready to get out of here. And this is about the time where, like, Tori was about, like, 6 or 7. Nikki, like, I think as soon as Ron gets introduced, she leaves. Like, she's able to, like, just leave. And, like, she lives with her, like, near her grandmother. And Laura adores Nikki to death and, like, wanted to take care of her at first because she thought, like, Shelly wasn't, like, going to be able to. And that's honestly probably, like, the best thing that could have probably happened to Nikki, but unfortunately it did not. Ron was a new friend of Shelly, and she thought he was suicidal from his divorce with Gary, and, like, his family had financial problems. He was a very cat guy. He liked his cats, and he got his cats taken away. I was very sad in that moment. But Shelly would force him to, like, inflict self-harm against himself and, like, physical degradation, humiliation. Like, he would have to walk around barefoot on nails and, like, that kind of stuff. She didn't provide any care for him at all. She sent him to, take care of this guy named Mac, who was a veteran, and Mac had died because he fell out of his chair and hit his head, and Ron couldn't do anything to save him. And one of the ways she would, like, psychologically, like, manipulate him was by saying, like, oh, the cops are coming, like, you need to hide and lock him away for days at a time, not feeding him, not letting him go to the bathroom. That was her main punishment, was not letting him go to the bathroom. Like, he would have to drink his own urine if he did. It was really weird. Sounds disgusting, but that's what she did. He died from malnourishment. And, like, it's the same way, like, Tori was trying to help him escape, like, Shane and Nikki tried to help Kathy escape, but they just had no energy. Like, anytime someone would be near like, Shelly, she, like, just drained the life out of them. And, like, Dave would always be the one to cover it up. And he just, like, buried him in the yard so he could be cremated later. And, like, they didn't really have a cover-up story for it at all. Just that, like, he committed suicide and has been running from the cops or something. Okay, so the three sisters and the secrets they held. So Nikki left the household right after Kathy died, and she left her two sisters. She tried to stay in contact with both, but, like, Shelley was just sheltered from the Kathy story, and she knew nothing about the Kathy story. She knew of Kathy, that she ran away. Like, she knew Shelley's story, but she didn't know the real story behind it. And she got abuses like Sammy and Nikki did, but she never told them because she thought she was the only one that was receiving it. And it was, like, really hard for her growing up just, like, all alone, because the only reason Sammy was still there, it was because her mother was paying for college, because that was the only way Sammy would stay there for just, like, a couple months. Because Sammy knew too much, and Shelley knew that, and Dave knew that. And, like, that was the only way that they could get her back. But Tori just, like, didn't have anybody with her. She thought Ron as an ally at first. Like, she had a really strong bond. She loved him. She called him Uncle Ron. And then Shelley just made Tori hate Nikki because, like, she thought, like, Nikki left her and just, like, didn't care about her at all to stay, and just, like, hated her mom. And Sammy was the one that made all three of them meet up and really talk about what happened. And Nikki and Laura had continually been going to the police before this, trying to shed light to it, but they couldn't get anywhere with the investigation because Tori would never talk, because she was the only one really there. And, like, finally, like, they all went there to, like, get them, and they got arrested, and finally they learned from Dave that the whole story about Shane being gone in Alaska and, like, living in Alaska was false. He was about to run away again, and this is when, like, Kathy was still there and Nikki was still there, and, like, he had just tried to run away again, and Dave shot him in the back of the head, so he couldn't share what was happening about Kathy. Okay, so personal connection. So a show that kind of, like, reminded me of this, like, kind of some themes, was Missing on Netflix. It's kind of about, I haven't watched it in a while, but it's kind of like her mom goes missing from her biological dad being abusive and, like, kidnapping her mom to Puerto Rico, but it's kind of like the same themes of just, like, these pure evil people that, like, think they can get away with things, and being finally caught, and just shedding light to a scenario. Like, in the show Missing, like, she hunts him down, trying to find him. Like, she's very smart and calculative about it, and, like, her abuser is also very smart, and I think that's a very good comparison to, like, Shelley. And, like, personally, I kind of, like, relate to Laura, who, like, could feel something was wrong, but, like, couldn't, like, shed light to it at all, because she, like, Nikki hadn't told her everything that happened yet. It didn't happen until, like, Nikki was almost 30 and, like, married. But she just wanted her granddaughters to be safe and, like, out of Shelley's control and abuse. I would have wanted to do anything in my power to, like, try to get them out of that, like, scenario and, like, harm's way. Because, like, I've had people in my life where, like, we've tried their hardest to get out of situations, out of abusive households. Okay, academic response. So, I wouldn't say it was, like, a really hard book to read, but at the same time, it was very graphic at times. I wouldn't recommend this book to younger kids or even younger teenagers, like 15. Because true crime books can be, like, hard to read sometimes, especially knowing that these books came from, like, true stories, because they're nonfiction. And, like, I just think with this kind of book, like, it's very based on torture, instead of just, like, oh, they just killed this and now they're running. No, it went, like, deep into, like, all types of torture. Like, it was 400 pages. Like, it got each and every story. Like, I felt like I was living through their experience and, like, what they felt. And I think he set up the book, like, in smaller chapters and longer parts. Like, there was 8 parts, but there was, like, 80-something chapters. And, like, I felt like it was more easy to read that way because I felt like I was reading more than I actually was instead of reading long chapters or having no chapters at all. I'm not a fan of those kind of books, actually. I did like that I got to read, like, through their experience to, like, feel how they were actually feeling. And I felt like it really, like, grabbed my attention, like, all the time. Like, I just wanted to know what happens next. Like, do they get caught? Do they get saved? Like, what happened to Shane? Like, what happens to Kathy? What happened to Ron? Like, are they okay? Well, obviously not. Okay. So my thoughts were, overall, I think you have to be the type of person that can handle reading about graphic images or major abusive households. Like, I know some people that just can't even, like, stand seeing abuse or, like, even drug stuff. Like, it can be hard to, like, really see that in real life if you're not surrounded by it or, like, even know about it. And, like, this book delves into the mental and physical abuse, and I think you need to be, like, have the basic understanding of a narcissist and how they think and how horrible the 3 girls were treated by their mother. Overall, I think this was a really good book, and I would recommend it to anyone who can handle this type of book. And I would read it again, personally. Okay, thank you.